Let's do the pledge. Daryl, why don't you lead us through the
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done, sir. So I am here in the SORTA today, just Daryl and I here in this room. We are working to try to organize it so we can have the committee meetings potentially at least next month and try to get where we're all in person. I know it's a challenge to kind of get to know each other and work issues in the Zoom world that we're in. So we're working hard on that. Related to the Zoom, we have no feedback from citizens, no new, and so I'm looking forward to trying to gauge that. I know we got a lot through the Reinventing Metro program, and we'll continue there, but nothing specific for the board right now.
Greg, well, if you're allowed to come back, sorry, there's an echo too on, but if we're allowed to come back, will there be an option for us to be virtual? Because in some cases it's nice. I mean,
yeah. So I believe the law now you can do the hybrid meetings, right? There's been a lot of that's been happening fast. So you'll be able to do it Zoom or in person. For those that live further away, Kathy, I suppose. Okay. But we're working through it. So right now we're not allowed to have all of us in the same room here anyway. But hopefully that will change as the vaccines kick in and things like that. Just a couple of announcements. You should have noticed that the board portal name has changed. Board Booklet is now Govenda. So I think everything else for you should stay the same, login name and password and such, but if you have any issues, let Chanel know. I know we were trying to get updated photos and bios, so you should have been able to schedule your headshot. If you haven't, please contact Chanel. If you, I guess if you like your old headshot, then maybe, don't do that. I was thrilled to have mine updated. You will be also getting invitations for meetings with Daryl. We're going to try to have meetings with Daryl, potentially myself, with each of you throughout the month. I know, as I was saying before, trying to do all solve in Zoom probably hasn't given us enough time to answer questions, and I think probably over Zoom, people may be a little reluctant to ask what they could see as maybe silly questions. Trust me, I've asked lots of silly questions over the years. Nobody else that I remember has asked them, but I certainly have. So we'll be reaching out to make sure you feel comfortable with what's going on. You will have seen the note around the facility tour. We're looking to schedule that at least one day for everybody, the best day for the most people. So please look in your email and respond. And there's 5 or 6 days that we're offered up. Lunch will be provided on those days, and you can wear casual attire. And then finally, there is a 12-minute safety video available on Govenda that I think we need to do before the tour. So we'll remind everybody once that date is set that we need you to do that. Okay. Any questions on any of that? No. Then last night, Daryl has assured me that the snow tonight will not interrupt service in any way, shape, or form. So that's good news. I guess it's snowing at the right time tonight if it does snow. So first action item is approval of the board minutes for March 16th, 2021. They're in your board booklet. Hopefully you've had a chance to review them. I am open to a motion to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the March board meeting.
Thank you, Heidi. Motion approved and seconded.
Second.
Thank you to everyone, all the seconders. Properly moved and seconded. Any questions or comments on the minutes as presented? No. Otherwise, we go to a vote. Roll call, right? All right, voice?
That is correct.
All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say
Aye.
Thanks. Okay, I think those are all approvals. So I will move to the Finance Committee. I was told Rob was going to do this, but Heidi, I see you're on. So
Yeah, and I actually was sick and not able to attend the meeting, so Rod ran it for me. So I will turn it over to him.
Thanks, Rod.
Good evening, everyone. It was pretty. Heidi was sick, so I filled in for her at the last minute. So give me a little grace. We had a pretty straightforward meeting. We reviewed an audit, went through our P&L, and just went through our investment performance report. Didn't have to vote on much. I think that Cindy will be giving a more robust update here in just a little bit.
Thank you, Rod. Glad it was straightforward. A little more in the Planning and Operations Committee, right, Blake?
Yes, we had a packed agenda for the Planning and Ops Committee meeting. We had some very interesting briefings on reinventing Metro. We went over the ridership report, and there's probably more things to cover in the good news than we even have time for today. But we really want to celebrate the fare simplification and all the awards for people that went out, and also our Transit Driver Appreciation Day. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold, so my voice is a little weak this evening, but keep going through. Beyond those items, we did have 5 action items. All of them were moved forward to this committee, or to the full board for approval. And one was for motor oil, another for bus batteries. Another one, I think Pat joked, it was like motor oil and bus batteries for IT. And it had to do with servers and some computer technology upgrades. And then also some fleet modernization and technology from Luminator and Trapeze, which is part of a larger project and connected to some grant funding that we've been using. And then finally, amendments to our advertising agency contract. Now, I think we're going to consider the motor oil, the server and SAN computer upgrade, fleet modernization and technology, and the advertising agency amendments as part of consent agenda items. But we need to look at the bus batteries separately. So the first thing would be to pass the consent agenda. I think, and we would need a motion to do that. And if there's any discussion, you can have that, I think, after the motion.
So moved.
And seconded? Question mark?
Second.
Thank you. Were there any questions, concerns, or discussion on the consent agenda? If not, I say we should move forward to a vote. Janelle, is this a voice?
Actually, roll call.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to. This included the ad agency thing, right?
It did.
Yeah, and just okay, great. I don't know if the whole group saw that. You mentioned it a little bit, but just I think it is really great that the organization is investing in telling people specifically about all the great things that are going to happen with Metro Moves. So I'm excited about that piece of it. And I think it puts us in line with a lot of the other agencies that we benchmark against. So thanks to Daryl and John and Brandy and Dave for leading that work.
It is a massive amount of work and very interesting materials if you haven't seen the committee presentation. And I think it might be addressed by Daryl later
team has expressed their appreciation for the feedback you all gave and really want to keep that dialogue alive. So please don't feel like this is a, it's not a static thing. It's dynamic, and so continue to push ideas. Now we vote.
Okay, Ms. Burdon? Yes. Ms. Black? Yes. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge?
Yes.
Mr. Hinton?
Yes.
Mr. Cassie?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson? Yes. Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, I believe I have everyone, and the consent agenda was passed.
Thank you very much, Chanel. Now we need to turn our attention to the bus battery procurement. Is this going to be covered with a presentation on what's changed? John?
Yes, Blake, we'll review the revisions here. For those present for planning and ops, we made a presentation there to seek approval of a resolution to contract with just one vendor for all batteries. And then in finalizing these items and pushing them towards executed contracts, we discovered a mistake in the specifications. That one of the vendors for one of the particular batteries, their product had actually not met specifications, so we went back and revisited. And what we're seeking here today is approval of a resolution for 2 contracts for bus batteries. Again, this was an invitation for bid, so we are seeking the lowest responsive bidder that meets the specifications for the product we need. Those bids included reaching out to 6 DBE firms. 4 bids were received, including 1 from a DBE vendor. And we are seeking today, in the action item there, approval of 2 contracts, 2 separate 5-year contracts regarding our bus batteries. One vendor, Bill's Battery, to provide the 3 different types of batteries we need for the access fleet at a fixed unit price contract cost not to exceed $19,000 to $14,000, and then to also execute a separate contract with the vendor Batterymen not to exceed $630,000, $718,000. Point of note, we have 1 battery type for the entire fixed route fleet. So these contracts will replace the prior 5-year agreement. They do reflect a significant increase that the vendors have attributed to manufacturing costs, as well as compliance with certain environmental regulations. But again, the vendors that we are seeking to contract with and seeking approval through the board here are the lowest responsive bidders, even despite the increase over the prior 5-year agreement. The expenditure will be funded with operating funds.
Are the parents
previously, or at least for 2020, with the move to move access in-house, we did not have a contract for the access batteries. We were buying those at market off the shelf, as it were. So by now including access in a contract, we're getting a much better price on the access battery need.
Waiting for someone to suggest that we use the access batteries on the big buses because they're cheaper. But I don't think that works.
No, that will not work. All right, well, we need batteries. Would would anybody like to move to approve this procurement? For this contract? Thank you. Any seconds? Properly moved and seconded. I think another call for any questions or discussion before vote. Hearing none, let's move forward with the vote. Is this also roll call, Chanel?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. We can proceed.
Okay, Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Sorry, yes.
Mr. Cassie,
Yes.
Mr. Hinton,
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Black,
Yes.
and Ms. Bernard. Yes. The resolution has been passed.
And that is the action items for planning and ops.
All right, thanks, Blake. I know it sometimes feels anticlimactic in this meeting because so much good discussion happens in the last one. I think there's action item is the from the executive committee. So, Kim, are you going to talk us through this? But effectively, we have to update the bylaws because the makeup of the board has changed based on the issue 7 passing, and so that the makeup of the board and what that means for how how we vote on things, who's assigned to what, has changed slightly. So, Kim, I don't know if you want to give a couple of highlights or.
Yeah. Yep, I absolutely can. So, and thanks, Chanel, for scrolling through. My copy isn't up. So, the first thing that we had to do was reconfigure the composition of the board because, as you know, with the new funding that we are receiving from the sales tax, Hamilton County reconfigured the board. So now there are 13 voting and 3 non-voting members. So we had to, the concept of a non-voting member wasn't originally included in the bylaws, and so we had to also include that concept. So what we've done here with respect to board composition in section 1.1 is just simply say that right now it's set at 16 members, 3 of whom are non-voting, but Hamilton County can change that from time to time. We did not go into specifics about all the representatives and how each one is appointed because Hamilton County has done that in their resolution, and because it can be changed, we don't want to have to keep going back to the bylaws and reconfiguring that every time. So we just refer to the Hamilton County resolution. And so then in section 1.2, we talk about, again, that we just refer to the resolution, and that's how the board will be selected. In section 2.1, let's see where that changes, is to add where in 2.2, the non-voting members and what they are able to do because we haven't defined that at all. So we want to be clear that, the non-voting members are valued. That's why they're appointed on the board. So they should participate in all discussions, ask questions. They're able to serve on committees. The only thing they can't do is vote. And so we still want them to be on committees and participate though. And so that's where we assigned what their role would be. If you scroll down further, we just made some cleanup changes because the bylaws hadn't been revised necessarily to talk about meetings being held virtually, which is permitted under Ohio law, especially, hopefully we're coming out of this pandemic, but if anything ever happened again, we want to have the ability to participate virtually, which I think, Brendan, that's something you asked earlier and is something we really value. And so as long as everyone can hear each other, then we're allowed to participate by any means of communications equipment. Special meetings we're just clarifying what has to be sent out for special meetings that we'll talk about the purpose of the meeting and why it's being held. We also talk here, we define throughout that, you know, where we need voting members to pass something or voting members to serve on something versus a non-voting member. So we added the word voting a couple of times in here. We talked about here the quorum that's needed is a majority of the voting trustees, because if we included non-voting trustees in our quorum, we could get into a situation where we could hold a meeting but couldn't actually vote on anything or pass anything. So in order to hold a meeting, we have to have a majority of the voting trustees present at the meeting. We talk about adjournment and recess. That's, again, just defining voting versus non-voting trustees. We can keep scrolling there. We can keep going. Still talking about, we had to clarify every time we talked about trustees, whether they were voting or not. The chair of the board, we said, needed to be a voting member as well as the vice chair. Keep scrolling. And then we refined this section regarding committees. The board can form any committees they'd like at any time. We can have any number of committees, but we wanted to limit it to the number of standing committees, the finance and the planning and ops committee that we're required to have. And then any other time the board wants to have another committee, for instance, we have an infrastructure committee or we need some other type of committee, they can come and go as we need them to, but they don't have to always be a standing committee, unlike finance and planning and ops, which meet regularly and we have all the time. We were just clarifying here that membership of committee members can include voting and non-voting members, and chairs of committees can be voting or non-voting members. They should be voting members, but if there is a special instance where we want to create a chair of a committee that is a non-voting member, the board has the ability to do that. So we've given you some increased flexibility there. And that might be it. Yep, it is. Are there any questions?
Kim, you probably put it in there. Did you justify the decision for the putting 3?
They can dictate the composition of our board. So other than when just saying that Hamilton County passed by resolution that the members would be 13 voting and 3 non-voting, that's all we've specified in here.
Right, but I mean, I'm just trying to make sure we understand the rationale for the 3 non-voting. I'm having camera problems, so you can't see me, but if you can hear me.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, I just want to make, I questioned it before. What was the rationale? What was the thinking of having 3 non-voting members?
Yeah, and unfortunately, Gwen, I don't know what that rationale is. We'd have to go back to Hamilton County and ask them.
Yeah, is the jurisdiction from where the non-voting members will come from in our bylaws?
No, it's in the Hamilton County resolution. And that's where I was saying that we haven't built that into the bylaws because Hamilton County could change that at any time. So right now, Hamilton County has it as Butler, Claremont, and Warren, but they could also decide, next week that they want another county or that maybe those will be voting members. So we didn't want to have to come back to everyone and amend the bylaws all the time.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure for myself that I understood their rationale. That they have that it wasn't like, I don't want to come back next year and they change their mind and want to do something else. I understand our bylaw, but I would like to know the purpose or the value of that to the board.
All right, we can get a statement from the commissioners. I think there's one that's already out there. Effectively, it's to support regional transit, right? But
it may very well be. I'm just saying, when questioned about who is eligible to be a non-voting member, what qualifies.
again, it's that all runs through the county because they're the ones that appoint the people to the board, right? So,
Yeah.
but we can get that. We'll get. There were some statements. I'm sorry we don't have them in front of us today, but I'll get them out to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions for Kim? No. What is it? Bylaws are the motor oil of the governance structure. Keep it on top. So, you know, it's a simple document, but it does dictate a lot of what we do. One of the things that did come up in there was around the committees, and I did get 2 comments back for folks that asked to be included on additional committees than what was sent out by Chanel. So those will be updated and sent out hopefully this week. And then we can feel like that's settled in. And you'll notice one of those is that in the regional committee, which is supposed to engage with the other regional transit authorities, Kathy is his name is the chairperson of that. So we do have a non-voting member who's got a chair position. But anyway, with all that in mind, I'd be open to a motion to pass this resolution.
So moved.
All right. Blake with his cold voice still got it through. Thank you, Blake. Properly moved. Second. Anyone on a second?
Second.
All right, Brennan. Properly moved and seconded. Any questions? No? Okay. I'm assuming this is roll call, Chanel?
That's correct. It's roll call. Okay, Ms. Burdon.
Allison?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
Ms. Mack.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Ms. Robinson.
Yes.
Mr. Cassee.
Yes.
Mr. Hinton.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Ms. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Cole.
Yes.
And Mr. Etheridge.
Yes.
Okay, the resolution has passed.
Thanks, Chanel. So that was the entirety of the executive committee discussion. Then just this afternoon, we had a meeting of the infrastructure committee to discuss the assignment of the scoring system RFP. So this was moved to the consent agenda, but effectively what we did was we posted for engineering firms to bid on this. We got 2 bids back in order to make sure there was no conflict of interest on any project that they could score and also end up being worked on. We had 2 so that we could divvy it up. We're not paying double, and each project will be reviewed once, but splitting it up between 2, and so AECom and Woolport were the 2 that bid on it, and we've decided to split the work. So this has been proposed to be approved so that we can continue to move on. If you remember, the RFP for projects is out right now. We haven't gotten any bids or proposals back yet, but then once that's done at the end of June, then these groups will score over the next 2 months and come back at the end of August so that we can approve what's been scored in September and then continue to move on for the benefit of the community. So I would move that we approve the Veterans Infrastructure Fund Consulting Services as proposed. Anyone like to second that?
Second.
All right, we got a few. And I know a lot of folks were involved in the conversation. So, but please, if there's any questions, even though this has been properly moved and seconded. So, any questions, bring them up now. No? Okay. Chanel, how do we do this one?
Another roll call.
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Etheridge,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Black,
Yes.
Ms. Burdon, Ms. Burdon,
Sorry, I'm still reading. Could you come back to me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still reading.
Mr. Hinton,
Yes.
Mr. Cassie,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Yes.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Chanel, you heard me as a yes.
All right. Thank you. So next on the agenda are the financial reports. Michelle is not.
Hey, Craig, since we're done voting, Casey was thinking of dropping off to go smoke a cigar or something. I want to wish Maurice a very happy birthday today.
Hey, well, I appreciate that. And actually, I'm at a baseball game. I'll get to the cigar bourbon later.
All right, good. Good. You deserve one. Happy birthday, buddy.
Split a cake in your honor.
I don't need that. Just a Cohiba and a bottle of Pappy will do too.
All right. Bottle of Pappy. Okay. Anyone that has a bottle of Pappy, please drop it off the floor. So happy birthday, Maurice. So Michelle, unfortunately, her grandmother passed away, and so she's dealing with that. We extend our sympathies, thoughts, and prayers to her. Cindy is going to take us through.
Good evening. Can you hear me? First of all, I'm not sure. It says.
We hear you.
Okay, good. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Cindy Racer, Director of Financial Planning and Analysis, and yes, I am pinch hitting for Michelle tonight. Just going over our results for March. Our revenue, which favorable to budget by about 1.5 million or 15%. The operating surplus before any adjustments were made was $1,290,000 for the month, and right now we're at $3,092,000 year to date. We had booked an estimated sales tax revenue of $7,346,000. That was recorded for the month. Capital revenue was recorded to offset the operating surplus in order to help build up our capital reserve. Some of the most significant factors driving our results for the month, as you can see, the fair revenue was unfavorable to budget by about $170,000 or 18% unfavorable. Factors, obviously, ridership is unfavorable to budget, and we did have get out the vaccine program, so we had some fare-free days that impacted the month. Our CPS contract revenue is unfavorable to budget, almost $200,000 or 28%. Our state and subsidy revenue was favorable to budget, $81,000 favorable.
and or 79%, and some of that was a result of some funds that we received from the state to offset the costs for the fare-free days for Get Out the Vaccine. Wages and benefits favorable, $641,000 or 8.8%. And parts and supplies also favorable, $85,000 or 13%. And some of the other on our other items, which includes outsourced services, advertising, third-party costs, things like that. That other category was favorable for the month, $729,000 or 47%, primarily due to favorable outsourced services and our third-party maintenance costs. That's about it in summary. If anyone has any questions, let me know. Feel free to ask me.
I'm going to go through Metro on the Move. Today, I know you all have heard me say this several times. I'm going to say it again. Our organization is extremely grateful to the leadership of the SORTA board, as well as the coalition that was put together to get Issue 7 passed. And because of that, we are ready to roll out Phase 1 of Reinventing Metro. I am really proud to say that we're actually rolling out 20% more service than we promised in year 1. So we will continue to exceed expectations. We're really excited about the rollout of Reinventing Metro, the infrastructure, Everybody Rides Metro, all the really exciting things that come with Reinventing Metro. And because of all of those exciting things, our system was asked to testify before the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs during the 21st Century Communities Public Transportation Infrastructure and FAST Act reauthorization hearing. So I testified on behalf of the entire transit industry as well as APTA. And it's because of all the exciting things that are going on here in Cincinnati. So you all should be extremely proud of what we've been able to accomplish. For a mid-sized system like ours to represent transit across the country is pretty much a pretty big deal. So I was proud to do that. I'll mention again that we are part of the Get Out the Vax to removing transportation as a barrier of people getting out and getting vaccinated. So in the Metro on the Move, it shows the dates that we've done already, as well as the dates that we will be doing for free rides so people can get out and get vaccinated. We'd like to thank ODOT again for funding the free rides to get out the vax. Also, kudos to our finance team. We've earned another Certificate of Excellence in Finance Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association. This is the 29th consecutive year we've gotten that award, so congratulations to our finance department. Again, another one of Reinventing Metro. Our new simpler fares have rolled out. We're really excited about that. One thing that we're not as excited about, TJ Foreign, our Chief Safety and Security Officer, because of some of the amazing work we've done here, got an offer he could not refuse and has moved on. He will be working for a consulting firm to help transit agencies across the country. So we're really proud of him. We did prepare the next in line to move up, so we will not miss a beat on safety and security. But we're excited for TJ, so I wanted to mention that as well. And just an update on our contract talks. We did receive a counter from the ATU. We have another meeting scheduled to go through that counter, and then we will be giving the board an update. That concludes my update, unless you all have any questions. Thank you.
All right, properly socially distancing. I will note that Daryl spoke real fast. We went through the part about the Senate because he didn't want everyone to tell him what a great job he did, but he certainly proud of you and all the great work you do, and well earned, and got great feedback. So thank you. And we don't get all the 140 case there's any confusion. That concludes the formal agenda, I believe. But certainly, coming up, we are going to have sessions on reinventing Metro for everyone to get back up to speed there, including some of what Daryl's explaining that we're going to be able to leverage some funds to go a little faster. The key is getting operators hired, gang. So anything anybody can do to push that, these are good jobs and jobs folks should be proud of. And so if you have people looking, please reach out to the team here. We have that could end up being our bottleneck if we're not successful in that process. So I know there's a lot of work going into it, but we can all do our part. Thank you. Any questions or anything anybody wants to bring up before we adjourn? No? Okay. I guess you mentioned the get out the vax. What was the numbers like? We had pretty more most time, as far as you know.
Yeah, the ridership was real close to time get out the vax, a little higher. We can't really tell.
Yeah, right.
Where they actually went, but the numbers were good.
Yeah, proud to offer that service. So the next meeting is scheduled at 10 o'clock on, I believe it's May 19th is the agenda. But if we're able to meet in person, that time may change. So 18th, sorry, I was trying to do it from memory. But until we see each other again, thanks for all the hard work. A lot of great things going on. Really fired up about it. You will be getting these invitations about reinventing Metro, about meetings with Daryl and I, and we look forward to continuing the great work. I move to adjourn.
Second.
Any objections? Call Daryl. Thanks, everyone.